What is up, everybody? This is Captain Inn-Zhano, Esquire, and today we are doing... Yes, we're doing that thing. We're doing that thing I promised for the 200 subscriber special. We're going to read off the Wikipedia page for Cabbage, dramatic reading or otherwise. So, yeah, let's get on with reading about cabbage. This is from the Wikipedia page, by the way. Cabbage, or headed cabbage, comprising of several cultivars or Brassica oleracea, is a leafy green or purple biennial plant, grown as an annual vegetable crop for its dense-leaved heads. It is descended from the wild cabbage, the B. oleracea, I can't tell, and is closely related to broccoli and cauliflower, which is botrytis, and Brussels sprouts, Gemifera, and Savoy cabbage, Sabalda, which are sometimes called cole crops. Cabbage heads generally range from 0.5 to 4 kilograms, 1 to 9 pounds as well, and can be green, purple, or white. Random trivia, I've never actually seen a purple cabbage. Well, actually, I think I have. I really don't remember doing so, though. Colours... Smooth-leaved, firm-headed green cabbages are the most common. The smooth-leaved red and crinkled-leaf Savoy cabbages of both colours are seen more rarely. It is a multi-layered vegetable under conditions of long sunlit days, such as are found in the high northern latitudes in summer. Cabbages can grow much larger. Some records are discussed at the end of the history section. Cabbage was most likely domesticated somewhere in Europe before 1000 BC, although Savoys were not, or is it Savoys or Savoys? I'm just going to say Savoys. Savoys were not developed until the 16th century. By the Middle Ages, cabbage became a prominent part of European cuisine. Cabbage heads are generally picked during the first year of the plant's life cycle, but plants intended for seed are allowed to grow for a second year, and must be kept separated from other cole crops to prevent cross-pollination. Cabbage is prone to several nutrient deficiencies, as well as to multiple pests and bacterial and fungal diseases. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations reported that the world production of cabbage and other brassicas for 2014 was 71.8 million metric tons, with China accounting for 47% of the world total. Cabbages are prepared in many different ways for eating. They can be pickled, fermented with dishes such as sauerkraut, steamed, stewed, salted, and braised, or eaten raw. Cabbage is a good source of vitamin K, vitamin C, and dietary fiber. Cabbage is a member of the genus Brassica and the mustard family Brassicaceae. Several other cruciferous vegetable, oh fucking hell, are considered cultivars of the oleracea, including broccoli, collard greens, Brussels sprouts, kohlrabi, and sprouting broccoli. All of these developed from the wild cabbage, also called colewort or field cabbage. This species evolved over thousands of years into those seen today, as selection resulted in cultivars having different characteristics such as large heads for the cabbage, large leaves for kale, and thick stems with flower buds for broccoli. The varietal epithet capitata is derived from the Latin word for having a head. The oleracea and its derivatives have hundreds of common names throughout the world. This is really fucking hard to read. Cabbage was originally used to refer to multiple forms of the oleracea, including those with loose or non-existent heads. A related species, the Brassica rapa, is commonly named Chinese napa or celery cabbage and has many of the same uses. It is also part of the common names for several unrelated species. Those include the cabbage bark or cabbage tree, a member of the genus Andira, and cabbage palms, which include several genera of palms such as Mauritia, Roystonia, Oleracea, Acrocomia, and Euterp Oenocarpus? Is that how you say it? The original family name of brassicas was Cruciferae, which derived from the flower petal pattern thought by medieval Europeans to resemble a crucifix. The word brassica derives from bressic, a Celtic word for cabbage. Many European and Asiatic names for cabbage are derived from the Celto-Slavic root cap, or cap with a K, meaning head. The late Middle English word cabbage derives from the word caboche, aka head, from the Picard dialect of Old French. This, in turn, is a variant of the Old French caboche. Though through the centuries, cabbage and its derivatives have been used as slang for numerous items, occupations, and activities. Cash and tobacco have both been described in the slang cabbage, while cabbage head means a fool or stupid person, or cabbage means to be exhausted or vulgarly in a vegetative state. Cabbage seedlings have a thin taproot and cordate, heart-shaped cotyledon. Oh, fucking hell, why is it so hard to read this stuff? The first leaves produced are ovate, egg-shaped, with a lobed petiole. Plants are 40 to 60 centimeters, 16 to 24 inches tall in their first year at the mature vegetative state, and 1.5 to 2.0 meters for 4'9" and 6'6" tall when flowering in the second year. Heads average between 0.5 and 4 kilograms, 1 and 8 pounds, with fast-growing early maturia varieties producing smaller heads. Most cabbages have thick alternating leaves, with margins that range from wavy or lobed to highly dissected. Some vary, having a waxy bloom on the leaves. Plants have root systems that are fibrous and shallow. About 90% of the root mass is in an upper 20 to 30 centimeters of soil. Some lateral roots can penetrate up to 2 meters, 6'6" deep. The inflorescence is an unbranched and indeterminate raceme or raceme, measuring 50 to 100 centimeters, 20 to 40 inches tall, with flowers that are yellow or white. Each flower has 4 petals set in a perpendicular pattern, as well as 4 sepals, 6 stamens, and a superior ovary that is 2-celled and contains a single stigma and style. 2 of these 6 stamens have shorter filaments. The fruit is a silicu that opens at maturity through dehiscence to reveal brown or black seeds that are small and round in shape. Self-pollination is impossible, and plants are cross-pollinated by insects. The initial leaves form a rosette shape comprising 7 to 15 leaves, each measuring 25 to 35 centimeters by 20 to 30 centimeters, which is 10 to 14 inches by 8 to 12 inches. After this, leaves with shorter petioles develop and heads form through the leaves cupping inward. Many shapes, colours and leaf textures are found in various cultivated varieties of cabbage. Leaf types are generally divided between crinkled leaf, loose-headed savoys and smooth leaf firm-headed cabbages. While the colour spectrum includes white and ranger greens and purples, oblate, round and pointed shapes are found. Cabbages has been selectively bred for head weight and morphological characteristics, frost hardiness, fast growth, and storage ability. The appearance of the cabbage head has been given the importance in selective breeding, with varieties of being chosen for shape, colour, firmness, and other physical characteristics. Breeding objectives are now focused on increasing resistance to various insects and diseases and improving the nutritional content of the cabbage. Scientific research into genetic modification of the Oleracea crops, including cabbage, has included European Union and United States exploration of greater insect and herbicide resistance. Genetically, the modified Oleracea crops are not currently used in commercial agriculture. Okay, since this page is literally a friggin' century long, I'm going to only read up to the end of the history section, and that's it. Okay, although cabbage has an extensive history, it is difficult to trace its exact origins owing to many varieties of leafy greens classified as brassicas. The wild ancestor of the cabbage, the Brassica oleracea, originally found in Britain and continental Europe, is tolerant of salt but not encroachment of other plants and consequently inhabits rocky cliffs in cool, damp coastal habitats, retaining water and nutrients in its slightly thick and turgid leaves, according to the triangle of U theory of evolution and relationship between brassica species and other closely related kale vegetables. Cabbages, kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cauliflower represent one of 3 ancestral lines from which all other brassicas originated. Cabbage was probably domesticated later in history than Near Eastern crops such as lentils and summer wheat. Because of the wide range of crops developed from the wild, multiple broadly contemporaneous domestications of cabbage may have occurred throughout Europe. Non-heading cabbages and kale were probably the first domesticated before 1000 BC by the Celts of Central and Western Europe. Unidentified brassicas were part of a highly conservative, unchanging Mesopotamian garden repertory. It is believed that the ancient Egyptians did not cultivate cabbage, which is not native to the Nile Valley. Though a word shalt in Papyrus Harris of the time of Ramesses III has interpreted as cabbage, Ptolemaic Egyptians know the cole crops as gramb, under the influence of Greek kramb, which has been a familiar plant to the Macedonian antecedents of these, I'm not saying that name again, by early Roman times. Egyptian artisans and children were eating cabbage and turnips among a wide variety of other vegetables and pulses. By the ancient Greeks had some varieties of cabbage, as mentioned by their Theophrastus. Theophrastus. Why is it so hard to read? Although whether they were more closely related to today's cabbage or to one of the other brassicas crops is unknown. The headed cabbage variety was known to the Greeks as the kramb and to Romans as the brassica or the olus. The open leafy variety, kale, was known to the Greek as raphanos and in Latin as caulis. Okay, I'm skipping down half of this page because there's way too much here for me to go through. Many cabbage varieties, including some still commonly grown, were introduced in Germany, France, and the Low Countries. During the 16th century, German gardeners developed the Savoy cabbage. During the 17th and 18th centuries, cabbage was a food staple in such countries as Germany, England, Ireland, and Russia, and pickled cabbage was frequently eaten. Sauerkraut was used by the Dutch, Scandinavian, and German sailors to prevent scurvy during long ship voyages. Jacques Cartier first brought cabbage to the Americas in 1541 to 42, and it was probably planted by the early English colonists despite the lack of written evidence of its existence there until the mid-17th century. By the 18th century, it was commonly planted by both colonists and Native American Indians. Cabbage seeds travelled to Australia in 1788 with the first fleet and were planted in the same year on Norfolk Island. It has become a favourite vegetable of Australians since by the 1830s and was frequently seen at the Sydney markets. There are several Guinness Book of World Record entries related to cabbage. These include the heaviest cabbage at 57.61 kilograms, 127 pounds, heaviest red cabbage at 19.05 kilograms, 42 pounds, and the longest cabbage roll at 15.37 meters, which is 50.4 foot, and the largest cabbage dish at 925.4 kilograms, which is 2,040 pounds. In 2012, Scott Robb of Palmer, Alaska, broke the world record for the heaviest cabbage at 62.71 kilograms, which is, in pounds, 138.25 pounds. For the love of God, I am no longer doing a dramatic reading on this sort of crap in the future, because too many big words hurt my really, really dull, dumb brain. But I hope you enjoyed this really, 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 really terrible dramatic reading of Cabbage for the 200 subscriber special. For the love of God, please let the next subscriber special be something less nightmarish. I'm Captain Inn-Zhano Esquire, and this was your little education lesson. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.